So making other people's success doesn't mean making everyone happy in the moment. It doesn't mean letting people do what they think they need to do or want to do. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
Hello, welcome to 10X Owners Live. Can you believe it's Tuesday night?
I cannot believe it's Tuesday night.
It's the best night
Tuesday night
of the week. We get to spend this evening with our 10X family. And unlike your actual family, we get to choose to be here, which is even better. The best part is the choice. We all get to choose to be here, to show up, to learn how we can scale and grow, to learn how we can be better leaders, show up better for our teams. And I would love to introduce to you the man to my right, the man, the myth, the legend, Brandon Dawson. Brandon, can you share with our 10X Owners Live attendees why they should listen to you as it relates to this topic of scaling and building businesses?
Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's another great Tuesday 10X Owners Live evening. We just arrived from Miami.
That's right.
Where we had a remarkable event last week. And we have 4 days back-to-back events this week. So we're very excited to be here in Scottsdale, Arizona. My name is Brandon Dawson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cardone Ventures with Grant Cardone. Natalie and I are partners with Grant and Elena Cardone. We launched this business just about 3 years ago. And the purpose of the business is to help business owners grow, scale, and create massive value. Like Natalie said, I sold my last business. I started with no money down, grew it with no debt, no outside capital, teaching exactly what we teach business owners to do today. So they're not reliant on somebody else's money or having the potential of losing their business to a bank or to an investor. And so I sold that last business, grew it organically for 14 years, sold it for 151 million.
Wait, how much?
151 million and to $1 billion company. And then we grew the $1 billion company to 4 billion in 36 months. Natalie and I partnered with Grant 36 months ago, and we have an enterprise value at Cardone Ventures that's well in excess of $500 million already. So,
and everything that we do, unlike most big organizations, for some people, those numbers are just massive. To me, still, sometimes I hear these numbers, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's big. It sounds big. But the reality is these big businesses, none of them are teaching small business owners how they actually got big, much less like opening the curtain to show all of the different things that go wrong, to talk about how those things can get better inside your environment, and to learn from our mistakes. And so one of the reasons that we go live every single Tuesday night with real live business owners, and we're real live business owners, is to be able to share these things that we're learning, to share the things that maybe we're a couple of steps ahead of you in the growth cycle, but how can we give you the information that you need right now with where you're at with your business in order to avoid the mistakes and double down on the things that have really worked for us so that you can get there faster.
That was well said. I'm trying to figure out, hey, Dimitri, get us on the big screen there so we can see ourselves. Because right now I can't figure out where we're at.
Well.
So
thank you.
So there you go, Dimitri. I knew you had it in your finger to push something. We are in a makeshift studio at our corporate offices here in Scottsdale.
Yes, sometimes when you're growing a business, and I put in the chat, yes, if you've had any technological issues over the past 2 years working in this virtual world, any Zoom issues,
maybe a blown fuse or two.
That was our particular issue today.
Maybe when you have an 8 TV video wall and you blow a fuse.
Well, that issue might not be super relatable, but that's what happened to us. And we blew out our studio because there was so much 10X power. The people are trying to stop us, but we're like, we'll figure it out. We'll make shift whatever we need to make shift in order to come live to you guys tonight. And tonight we are going to be talking about all things interview process.
Look, building a business is hard enough, but it is impossible to do it by yourself.
So true.
So there's 5 elements to be an expert in business, to be an authority in business, to be successful in business, to scale your business in business. You need to be an expert in 5 things.
Oh, what are they?
1, finding talent. 2, being interesting enough to attract that talent. 3, you have to know how to align the talent with the business opportunity. 4, you have to be able to grow and develop that talent, because for the business to grow and scale, the talent needs to grow and scale along with the business owner. And then the 5th, and one of the most important elements, is retaining top talent. So having great employees isn't just hiring somebody. You have to become an expert at all 5 of those areas for having remarkable talent, because remarkable talent isn't a lucky hire with one person. It's a design that you put into your business so it can continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But it all starts with learning how to have the first conversation with finding and then attracting talent.
Yeah, most of us spend the majority of our time every day dealing with the last half of what Brandon is talking about in his 5 things. So say your 5 things again for people who didn't catch them. The first one is attract. No, the first one's find. The second one's attract. What's number 3? Develop. Align, develop. I have them out of order.
And retain.
I know the 5. Come on. We don't need to do any pop quizzes on here, but maybe we do.
I mean, did you put my 5 things in your book?
No, I put my things in my book.
For those of you that are new, Natalie wrote a remarkable book called Teamwork.
Yes. And I go in deep into all of these things. Teamwork.
That's right.
But so the idea is, like, I think about my day to day. If I were to show you my calendar, I've had back-to-back 30-minute meetings, some in actually 15-minute increments, but I have had back-to-back meetings since 8:30 this morning. And I will continue to have meetings till probably 6:45, all in these 30-minute increments. And when I think about as a team member, where I'm spending my time across all of these things that Brandon just listed, it's not on finding, it's not on attracting, it's on aligning, developing, and retaining our talent. It's so, all of us are in that every single day. But the challenge is when we're putting out fires constantly and we bring that energy into an interview, and we bring that energy into dinner tonight when we meet new people. Let's say we go out to dinner and we're meeting 5 new people. 5 new connections will happen from a dinner. We will meet the person who greets us at the door. We will meet a waiter. We will likely meet somebody who's servicing the table. We will also likely meet somebody sitting next to us, either at the bar or at the table next to us. We're going to meet at least 5 new connections. If you're in this mode of I'm just firefighting around this aligning, developing, and retaining piece, you're not thinking with the hat of, well, how am I attracting these team members and how am I finding them? And so this attracting and finding piece often is the most difficult because you're not even in that most of the time. And you're probably actually frustrated because you're dealing with all of the other pieces on the back end. But what we've done is we've crafted a very intentional interview process so that team members and ourselves are reminded, hey, this is what we're doing here. This is why we're doing it. This is what we're doing. And this is why it's important that new team members see these things. So we've created this sheet for you guys called How to Build Your 10X Team. If you are interested in building a 10X team, if you have a team currently and you're struggling building this team and you're struggling in the interview process, highly recommend that you scan this QR code, because we're going to go over today the 3 critical components of an interview process and the 5 questions that you ask every single new hire while they're still a candidate in the interview process.
Every single potential new hire.
That's correct.
While they're a candidate.
That's correct. Because we don't need to hire everybody.
Now, these are the same questions I asked Natalie before I decided to marry her.
This is not true.
She had to go through this exact same interview process that we're teaching you tonight.
This is incorrect data, but that's okay. Did you ask me? So what do you know about Cardone Ventures before? We'll get into that. So for those of you who have scanned this, I'm just going to start going. I'm going to start rolling through this interview process. So the first step in any interview process should always be the behavioral interview. For the team, let's make sure we get this. Oh, thank you. Putting the link in the chat. Awesome. Let us know if you're having any issues downloading this worksheet. But the first piece is behavioral. You have to understand if their behavior, if their makeup of how they expect to show up into a work environment is actually a fit for the work environment that you want to create. The second step, which is critical in an interview process, is actually them in doing the work that they are responsible for doing. So I think about us for a graphic designer, let's say. A graphic designer in Cardone Ventures in a technical interview is going to be designing something in the interview. It's not going to be before the interview. It's not going to be some long case study ahead of time where they have to do this perfect design that could quite honestly be something that they just scammed off of the internet. It's in live fire. Hey, with 5 minutes, design this asset. These are the criteria, because you're testing into how quickly can somebody execute a task? What is the creativity? How many questions do they ask? Guys, I assure you, how many questions somebody asks you about a task that is clearly stated is an indicator of how many questions they are going to ask you when you give them a task in any day of the week. So having these things and knowing, hey, this person's going to ask me 15 or 20 questions before starting the work. Is that going to slow me down? Potentially. So how can you give better feedback? But then also, how are you making sure that that team member knows this is what the brief is, this is the assignment, go do these things, and then come back and then you iterate. So that technical interview really is going to help you identify, can the person do the work? The third interview is the core values presentation. Brandon, do you want to talk about why we do a third interview, the third step of Cardone Ventures hiring process as the core values?
Yeah, so look, a lot of people complain that they hired somebody and 90 days in or 6 months in, they're not representing the values of the organization. They're not upholding or representing the values of the organization. So the reason you do the core values process before you hire them, in our case, our core values are inspiration, discipline, accountability, transparency, alignment, and results. So I want somebody to present to us as their last stage of the interview process how they would apply those 6 core values either in their past requirements, and then how they would apply them into what they've learned about our organization based on what they could read or what videos they could watch about us. And we're looking for the depth of the conversation, the speed. And we tell them, we're going to ask you to do this in 10 minutes. And so how long do you give them to do it?
We've now, because I've heard over 1,000 core values presentations, we started it at 20 minutes. Then we moved it down to, I like it right there. Then we moved it down to 10 minutes. And now it's a 5-minute presentation, because you don't need more than 5 minutes to describe. It's 1 minute, a little less, 45 seconds per core value. This is a time.
Now you do this though, because if they come in and talk for 20 minutes,
oh my gosh, this just happened to me last week. We gave somebody the assignment. It's 5 minutes.
So you give them very specific. Excuse me, I'm trying to explain.
Say sorry.
So
was the core values interview was your idea? Or you
just asked me to explain.
You're right. Go ahead. You're doing something.
By the way, you work with me.
Were you about to say for me?
Yeah, I was gonna say everything's mine.
Whoa.
So, but then I realized we have to go home. So for those of you that are new here, this is actually Natalie and Brandon Dawson. Mm-hmm. We're married. So we are a working couple. At the office, I am the CEO, and at home, I'm still the boss.
I don't think
it's easy to talk tough.
I don't think anyone on this call believes that, but that's okay.
So look,
happy husband, happy marriage.
100%. So look, a thrilled wife equates to a happy husband as well. So look, when you're interviewing people and they come in and they are able to articulate the mission, vision, values of your organization, and apply them to something in their life, past life, how they would apply them into your business based on what they've learned, they lose the excuse to go on your payroll and say they didn't know. So if you want to hire better, weed out the people who are already looking for an excuse. And can I tell you that when we ask people to put those presentations together, some quit just because they say, oh, you want me to make a presentation? You haven't even paid me. You're not hiring me. That's an instant out. The ones that show up and do a half-assed job presenting to us when they want a job, then guaranteed they're going to do a half-assed job working for our business owners, working with our clients, our customers, our prospective clients or customers. If they're going to do a half-assed job trying to get a job, then they're guaranteed to do a half-assed job while they're on the job.
So true.
Third thing is this. You get an opportunity to see somebody's presentation skills. You get an opportunity to see how well they can articulate and handle pressure. So Natalie will put the clock to them, 5 minutes. Now, can you imagine if you're crystal clear? Here's what we want you to present. It's only 5 minutes. It shouldn't be longer than 5 minutes. And somebody talks for 20 minutes and never hits on the 6 pieces of data. What's the likelihood they're going to be coachable, teachable, and pay attention at the office? So let me just say this, the harder you make it for people to get in your business, the higher quality people you'll have in the business.
You did an excellent job. That was awesome.
Thank you. I've been working. I practiced. She gave me my script this morning and I've been reading it over and over and over.
You nailed it. 10 out of 10. But everything that he's saying is so true as it relates to this idea that people should take it seriously, that they get the opportunity. Think about it like this. They get the opportunity to work with you and to be on your mission. If you start thinking about the people that you bring into your environment as having the opportunity of a lifetime, first of all, you're going to take yourself and the opportunity more seriously, because just thinking about it's not a job, it's an opportunity. That means that there's upward mobility. There's a potential. There's something in the future that is exciting to them. So if they have the opportunity to work with you, how are they proving that they are a fit prior to you understanding every little nuance that's going to come out from that 8 to 5 work schedule with them? And I find that if somebody is willing to make a presentation to our executive team, like they've got the nerve to handle client complaints. They have the nerve to be able to confront difficult conversations, difficult issues with other employees. And it's a really great test of character when people actually show up to this presentation. I have a feeling, what do you think about this? Most people on this call would be pretty nervous to make a core values presentation to you, me, and our executive team.
Yeah, let's go. Core value presentation.
Like, just think about that. You'd be sharing with us for 5 minutes. It's timed. And I'm not saying you guys would like crumble. You guys are 10X owners on this call, so I know you would knock it out of the park. But that is just a different level of seriousness that you're placing on the applicant. And it demonstrates that you really do believe in these things that you are saying look nice on a wall for your core values, but no, they're actually workable inside your environment.
100%. All right. Why don't we do this? I'll take a question. Let's take a question. Dimitri, you've got to be the one to pick them because let's go Dr. G. Natalie, could you do me a favor and sign those documents?
Totally.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I can't impress upon the people watching enough. Obviously, I've been working with you guys for a few years now and implementing all of these things. It took us a while to hire the first hire because we were a lot more, protective of our environment is a really good way of saying it. And because we're doing that, we're now attracting some amazing individuals that normally we wouldn't have been able to attract. So I want to say I appreciate the book, appreciate the programs that you guys put out there. The question I have really is, how do you get through so many applicants so quickly? Really? Because we have so many applicants, we're hiring multiple jobs right now. So how do you get?
Yeah, part of that's a good question for a lot of people. You know, part of that is being better at writing the job description.
Do you block them out? What do you guys do for that?
So it's a good question. And a big piece of that is learning to really get tight about in your job application process or in your posting process. You're better off listing the 3 to 5 things that you really need someone to be an expert at than the 12 things you want them to do. Do you know, when we surveyed thousands of employees and at big companies, when big companies get into turnaround situations, when you survey those employees and you find out, like when you applied here, what were the top 3 to 5 things that grabbed your attention about the job? Then we would go to the head of HR and we'd say, hey, when you hired this person, what was the top 3 to 5 things, the highest value contribution to the organization that you prioritized hiring them? And then you go to the manager and ask, what are the most important elements of this job? And you'd find that the people that applied for the job maybe were good at some of the things and not necessarily good at the others. The managers that are responsible would say, this is really what needs to happen for the job, and people aren't executing at the highest level. Then you go to the HR people. Now, these are big companies where they have all that. And what we found is that there's a huge disconnect between the specific roles and responsibilities and contributions based on the type, the questions they're asking, and then how they're onboarding them, and then letting people kind of fall into what they're good at and not have to do the things that the job requires. And so I would say that you get through a lot of applications by being more clear about what you're trying to hire, the contributions to the organization, the competencies that somebody needs to bring to the organization, the competencies. Did I say that already? Competency. Contribution.
Great.
The contribution that they need to deliver to the organization. So the more clear you are and the more concise you are about what you want from an applicant, and the tighter you write those, then the better quality filter you have on the people you're talking to. If you're just like looking for a front office person who can answer the phone and enter chart information and greet our patients and make coffee and unlock the front door and make sure the office is clean, and like that's not a good job description. So you're going to get a lot of applications. But if you're crystal clear about what positions you're hiring for, what those competencies need to be, and those are the things like Natalie said. Then when someone shows up and says, hey, I'm a billing expert, I've been working on billing and receivable for medical practices, in your case, Dr. G, I'd say, great, let's go sit in front of our billing and see, play with it. Let me see what you can understand. Well, we don't use this system. Great, but what system do you use? And how does it compare? And like, the more you can understand attack, if someone's answering the questions, then you know they have competency and they've been doing it. So the clearer and more concise you are, the more precise you are about who you hire. And then a lot of times I'll look at the job descriptions, I'll look at the applications, and Natalie will tell you this. I'll go through, and if somebody's like 4 months here, 6 months there, 9 months there, 3 months there, I'll like throw them out because they've no longevity. And I don't want to have easy in, easy out. So I look for people that are a couple years somewhere. And if they're executives, I kind of like to see 3 to 5 years somewhere. I get people applying for VP positions and they've had 5 jobs in 2 years. And it's like, we just had one where you were like, I think this would be a good applicant. And I looked at it and I said, why were they only at this place for 6 months? And you were like, well, it was a startup that failed. And I said, well, why would they go to a startup that can fail? Like, why weren't they better at picking where they wanted to work? And so, it's just like getting, and then being hard on your questions. Very important to be hard on your questions.
Yeah,
but Natalie's more of an expert in this area than I am.
Brandon is
Thank you for signing that for me.
Brandon is not hiring a lot of our team members any longer because that's not his role, right? His role is, how do we create the next vision for Cardone Ventures and actually execute on the new things that have to happen. If you are an executive in a business that's doing over 30 million in revenue, you should not even be concerned in the hiring process. There's a handful of team members.
Yeah, unless you're hiring like a C-suite.
Yeah, there's a handful of team members who are like, hey, Brandon, we need to have you in on this because this person would either be reporting directly to you or is a very critical role for us. But this is the value of coming to events and talking with people who are experts. I will never forget having a conversation with Grant's COO. We had been in business at Cardone Ventures for 8 months at this point. And at that point, we only had 11 team members and we were just ramping up. We had posted 3 positions online. And when I spoke to her, I was like, man, at what point did you guys hire a recruiter? Because at that moment, I was overwhelmed with the 3 positions that we had posted and thinking about all of my other responsibilities that recruiting, that I thought was maybe not the most important thing, was taking from me. And she said, I recruited every team member at Cardone Training Technologies until we had 150 team members. And just last year, I hired a recruiter in order to help me. And all of a sudden, what happened? My belief lid went out the door because I couldn't imagine at that point being so efficient in everything that I was doing, from looking at resumes to the interview process, to where I could still manage this for a period of time while doing these other functions. And so being around somebody actually taught me, who was great at it, taught me how to be efficient at this process of looking at resumes. And this is why, guys, we have 4 days until my People Essentials workshop. I recruited our first 50 team members at Cardone Ventures. I learned everything that you need to know about how you do it in today's marketplace, where there is a impending recession, where there is things like the Great Resignation. Like, we have hired through this entire cycle, and we're hiring and it's working. So this People Essentials really is just like me being able to sit down with you and Brandon for 2 days to share with you every single thing that you would need to know about the most critical part of your business next to marketing, which would be your people. But in order to get great marketing, you still need to find the right people and the right vendors. And the questions that you ask are critical. They are imperative to that being successful for you and your business. So the People Essentials workshop is this weekend. We go through hiring, we go through onboarding, we go through training, developing, and in some cases, firing team members, performance improvement, every single thing in a system that allows you to get to a highly aligned, engaged, and inspired team. So if you're interested,
I see some of these notes in there. Yeah. If you're interested, click this QR code. If you want to learn how to find, attract, align, develop, and retain remarkable people and have them build your business for you, click the QR code. If you want to have an easier life that's more rewarding, make more money, have more fun by building a great team that's going to do the heavy lifting, click the QR code. If you want to know the secret to building and scaling and growing a massively successful business, click the QR code. There isn't going to be any other way to build the business if you don't learn how to attract and develop a massive team. Nothing big ever happened with any one individual doing it by themselves.
And there is a virtual option for this People Essentials workshop. So if you're unable to attend physically in person in Scottsdale, Arizona, we have a virtual option. That is an amazing experience. We have a team member dedicated to the chat, answering questions. We include the virtual. So if for whatever reason, time constraints don't work out for you this weekend, you can still make it virtually.
Yeah. So you can pull that QR, you can pull that down, Dimitri.
Looks pretty good though.
Yeah,
the team did a great job on that.
The team did a great job. So look, our commitment is to help you build a massively huge business. But I see in the chat, we have people saying, hey, what do you do when people come in, you interview them and then they want more money? So look, I think if you're blown away by the candidate, then, negotiate. Look, the hardest thing is not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. If somebody comes in, they interview.
Isn't it a round peg in a square hole?
I don't know.
Is the peg round or is it square, guys? Help us out.
Either way, it's gonna land in the same spot.
Someone help us.
So look,
but can we? I would like some audience participation. Is the peg round? Isn't a peg round? It's like I think of it like a golf tee.
Well, why couldn't a peg be rectangle or round?
Am I right? Who's right here, guys? Can somebody mediate? We don't normally. We would never do this to our team. By the way, we would never put them in the middle of this thing that's going on. Help. Oh, it's a square peg and a round hole.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I guess how would you make a square hole?
Exactly. So I was wondering where you're going with that.
Okay.
Anyhow,
now we know.
So now you know.
Hey, this is on tape. You were right.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
Camera team, can you please cut that?
Yes.
And
make it
reproduce
his
it 1,000 times over. Okay. So look, so the question somebody posed on here is when people come in and renegotiate their salary, they take a job, then they come in. And another thing that people will do, especially in the marketing area, is they'll act like they want a job. And then when you put the salary out, they're like, actually, that's probably less than what I want to make. But if you want to outsource to me, and they use it to pitch their business. So in those cases, you just set the rules up front. Hey, if you come in here and you pitch me a business, if you're not serious about working here, you're done. And we'll never have a conversation and you're out. There's zero chance. So if you're serious about wanting to work here, we're serious about trying to find a great team member. Now, if you interview somebody and you're posting a position that could be 50 to 60,000, they come in and tell you that they really want to make 80 or 90. I would ask the question, then why did you apply for this job when we posted what the offer was? If they're honest with you and they say, well, I wanted to get my foot in the door and talk to you, then I'd say, okay, well, what would you contribute to this organization that would inspire me to pay you more money? Like, sell me then. If they stammer and stutter and then get rid of them. Okay. If they're clear and concise and they're like, here's what I could do, here's where I could create value, say, fine, this is the posting I put in place. If you want to make 30% more money, I'll put a comp plan in front of you. You master the job I put in front of you for the next 90, 120 days. I'll create the incentive for you to make the kind of money you want to make. And if you want to do that, then I'd be open to that conversation. I'm just going to tell you right now, finding the right people to do the heavy lifting. And if you're offering too small of dollars, you're always going to struggle trying to find good people. When people interview with me, if they tell me, hey, I want to make 100 grand or I want to make 150 grand, I'll ask the question, What's the most amount of money you've ever made in a year? And what's the most amount of money anybody's ever shown you how to make? Now, if I'm posting a position for 75 grand and they told me, oh, I've been making 150 grand a year, I already know they're lying, because no one would take an interview for a $75,000 job that was making 150 grand a year.
And you want to pay people what they're worth. Like
yeah,
you do not want
let me finish
somebody.
my point there.
Okay.
So
Nice.
if somebody has been making, if you're posting a $75,000 job and somebody comes in and said, well, I've made between 75 and 90,000 and I want to get my foot in the door. Okay. That's logical. Right. But you know, when they're BSing you. But here's the thing. When somebody comes in and applies for a $70,000 or $50,000 job, and you're like, man, this person's remarkable. They're articulate. They show up great. Ask them if they want to learn to make more money than that, and then invite them. Hey, if you come in and do the things and work at the highest level here, I'll show you how to make more money. The best team members that you'll have in your business are those team members that you find, you develop, and you keep giving them more opportunities to earn, and you're willing to invest in their training so they can succeed and earn more. And I just want to say that's coming from a third-time Ernst & Young regional finalist as of yesterday.
So exciting. Brandon is a third-time regional finalist for Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year award.
Cheers to Ernst &
And
Young.
we're going to find out which place he gets. When do we find that out?
I don't know. I think it's a couple weeks.
Do people get to vote? If people get to vote, the TEDx community would go crazy.
You don't get to vote. It's the Ernst & Young partners.
Well, that's silly. Rigged.
They're
It
doing
should be a
merit
poll.
of the results.
How do they know?
It's not based on
But what if their teams hate them? You would just win if they were
because
if
they're
they were
not.
able
First
to
of all,
actually
Ernst & Young
see-
knows if your numbers are going up every single year, you're growing, you're killing it, that your team doesn't hate you.
You don't know.
There's a little thing in the algorithm of the numbers.
You don't know.
Usually when companies are flat
I would vote
stalled,
you for winning it. To me, you've already won it because I know it's the real deal. And whatever anybody else says is the real deal, it's just not.
Let's go. Let's go. Real deal.
Even when you're a little short with me because I interrupt you one time on a call, I still am your biggest fan.
All right, let's take another question. I appreciate having my biggest fan on our live show with me. Carolina, come on down.
There was an awesome comment about, I think it was Jay McLean said that he was in a meeting with his two brothers. This is awesome. I just want to call attention to this. I work for two brothers, and last week we had a meeting where everyone said we can't hire good people. I walked out and called Steven and signed up with my own money.
There you go.
It's freaking amazing. We will not let you down. It is going to be a transformational weekend.
Let's go.
Well, hello.
Hey, how are you guys?
So
Fabulous.
Good. Okay, so my question today is about my new hire. I just finally found someone who I really think is going to do a very good job. She starts on Monday. I'm very excited. At the same time, I've been preparing my new place. You know, once I finalized it, 10x 360, I took the dive and did everything that I knew I was supposed to do. So she's starting, but I am presently, you know, the only person. I'm a solopreneur still. So I am wearing all the hats and doing everything. And this person is going to come, as she was told in the interview, to help me build. Okay. She will be learning from me, you know, shadowing me for the first month, or I don't know how much time that's going to take. And so my question is, I know that her job description was clear, and I know there are main things that she has to address and her tasks, but being so much to do, what would be your advice?
Yeah, so look, business owners and entrepreneurs, when you're that rule of three, okay? If you guys just start all of a sudden, you hire your first employee and you're all excited and you just dump everything on your employee because you're already overwhelmed, you will overwhelm your employee. Law of the lid. Your employees don't have your incentives. Your employees don't have your ambitions. Your employees don't have your skill set. Your employees don't have your knowledge. Isolate 3 to 5 things that you need that employee to do to supplement and augment what you're doing, and keep it to those 3 to 5 things that complement what you're doing. Do not use your first employee as an opportunity to offload everything so that you can find some sense of freedom.
No,
So you need to identify the 3 to 5 most important things. Go back to your 10X 360 book, go to the rule of 3, attributes, contributions, competencies. You need to delegate 3 to 5 things to that employee that they can help you do. And you need to make the integration of that employee super simple. If you just dump it on your employee, they're going to blow out on you, because if you're overwhelmed, that's the number one mistake business owners make with new employees. The business owners is overwhelmed. So then they dump their overwhelmingness all over their employees. They overwhelm their employees, and then they get paralysis analysis because the business owner's scattered and running around. The employees don't have the courage to make hard decisions. And so no decision gets made, and you just compound your situation. So 3 to 5 things: granular incremental improvement. Be clear about the cultural integration. We show up with a smile. We give our clients the highest version of ourselves. We're respectful in the organization. We take care of our people. Cultural, operational, 3 to 5 things you need to do perfectly and flawlessly every single day. It's not 50 things. It's 3 to 5 things. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to develop you. One of those things is you're going to train every morning on Cardone U, so I can teach you how to use that language with our clients. And then what happens is now you go to the financial. Here's what I'm paying you. Here's where I'm going to build some incentives if you overperform, not some blanket, oh, I'm going to pay you on revenue. Oh, I'm going to pay you on happiness. No, it's very specific based on what they're driving on behalf of the organization, and you keep it simple. You can add to this new employee's plate if they're killing it in the 30th or 60th or 90th or 120th day. But whatever you do, integrate them by making their success easy. Don't overwhelm them. Work with, delegate, do not abdicate, and write the stuff down out of your rule of 3 and go over it with your employee so they understand what they need to do to support you, and keep it simple because it's new for you and it's new for them.
Yeah. And one of my rules prior to having meetings with my team members, unless they're like executives who can handle more heat, I'm not saying other team members can't handle heat, but they're going to respond different than somebody who might be nervous that I'm upset about something. And so anytime that I feel overwhelmed, I really have to check that prior to having a meeting with somebody. And especially as we talked about in the 10X 360, I'm a high influencer. Like, I just have to remember that before going into a meeting. And that's a leadership quality, to remove your feelings and the personality or the overwhelm aside, and still on behalf of the mission of the organization, on behalf of the brand promise and where you're going, like, is that interaction gonna create this confidence, or is it going to undermine everything that you've had this employee go through in order to become part of your team and become part of this opportunity with you?
I love that.
Awesome. And congratulations on hiring someone. I know you've been working hard at that.
So exciting.
Awesome.
Brandon, we have, I'm pretty sure it's a hater. I'm not, but I'm not positive.
A hater.
I know it's been a while right there. Nicolina, under 1% success rate with Cardone Ventures. But if you're the 1%, good for you.
Nicolina.
Let's
go. Let's bring Nicolina on the call. Let's see if Nicolina has the courage to show up in front of. We love haters.
Since we've had
Let's go. Let's give some attention to Nicolina.
I'm interested in where the success rate was. Oh, Nicolina isn't there or won't unmute.
Oh, that makes sense.
Nicolina.
Yeah, you can't show up on our channel. Look, here's the thing for the haters. Because here's the thing because it ain't real. Because Nicolina, first of all, I'd know that name. But if Nicolina actually came through our program and actually had any problems, we would be doing everything we can to help Nicolina. But if Nicolina's got the attitude of only 1%, it's because if Nicolina actually came in and worked with us, then she carried that attitude in, and it's never going to leave her, because Nicolina is Nicolina.
I would just love to know where this aggregate data is coming from, because if somehow she knows and was able to quantify that only 1% success rate,
the whole show is waiting. If
that was true, I would sign me up.
Everyone
for this,
here knows
this data.
We got a hater
package.
That's all right. She or he ain't brave enough to actually speak up if they're real anyway. So.
Yeah, and we're not scared to talk about.
All right, so let's see. I can see Jared and Rush. Let's grab one of those guys. Rush, I meant Russ.
I think his name's Russ, but that's okay.
Rush. He's always
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, buddy?
Hi, Jared. How's your, it's your foot, right?
My ACL, my knee. Yeah.
Your knee.
Surgery is tomorrow. So, or I'm sorry,
We're sending
Thursday.
We're sending you 10x love, 10x healing. It's going to go by so fast.
10x recovery too. It's going to be
That's
quick.
right.
There you go.
That's right.
Well, for all the new people, these are definitely the people you want to be hanging out with. So I would join all their programs like I did. But my question is revolving around, in my SBU team, we're about to start some weekly team accountability. So what are some of the things that you have your people report back to you on a weekly basis? Are they usually KPIs that they report? Are they metrics? Or what are the things that you like to know that your people are doing every single day?
Every day we want to know how many calls, how many connects, how many appointments, conversion of appointments, dollar value of appointments. And then that's just for the sales team and the business development team. And then the strategic business unit team reports show rate for call rate with clients. See, I only look at one number when I look at our strategic business unit, and we're managing $500 million in that business unit. I look at percent of clients that make their phone calls, because we schedule so many calls with our clients, all of you, that if you're blowing your calls off and I see that number start to go down, then you don't perceive there's value in the phone calls. So I watch the percent of calls, scheduled calls made every single day. And if that number is not between 96 and 100%, I'm putting my nose into it. Now you got to understand that's probably 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 calls a day out of that group, right? So
there's a threshold in which we will reach out to the department head to understand what happened on that daily piece. But I think what you're referring to is those weekly emails that we get from every department head about the activity that's taking place. And that's what the SBU would be implementing. So the reason for that is, as your business grows, there's going to be so many projects. This is Brandon's biggest frustration in business. You guys want to know what Brandon's single greatest frustration in business is? Still to this day, it's a problem that I try to solve constantly. Anybody want to know? Is anyone curious what you have to look forward to as you have a $65 million business? Okay.
Actually, if you annualize last month, it's 90 million.
Well, I didn't want to overshoot
I pay attention to those numbers.
The biggest thing, we're still on track for, you are like, he's been in such a mood. He's just been like,
she's called me snarky. It's probably because I'm fasting right now.
That's why.
See, you just got to remember when I'm snarky, it's because I'm fasting.
All the sense in the world. Okay. I forgive you for everything. But Brandon's biggest frustration in business is when he has a priority in a project that he wants completed, and he tells somebody that this is a priority and that this is an initiative that needs to be completed in a time frame that he determines. And then that time frame comes and goes. There's no update. There's no progress. There was zero communication. And this project that Brandon thought was being worked on, it has had no movement or momentum whatsoever. And we made the mistake years ago where it would be 6 months before we would know. And so the way that we combat that every single week is our department heads send us a list to our whole leadership team of the top priorities. And we have this special highlighting color that the SBU will go over with you on the things that the things in red need to be addressed immediately. They are of high concern. They are an issue. But everything else is an update on the activity that department made on the very specific initiatives that were taking place and said to be a priority for this quarter.
So Francisco said, go scroll that back, says, doubled my revenue after 360 in 1 month and was stuck at 20 to 25 grand. Came off the 360, did 60K, 64 last month, already at 44K in revenue this month. Thank you guys. So we have so many of these great stories.
Can you screenshot that?
He did. Now scroll down a little bit more. Now look at this one. Doing this is Matt. Doing 360 this week, currently hitting 45K. Hoping I get your results. Okay, so first thing, Matt, you don't pay the kind of money you pay to come to a 10X 360 to hope anything happens.
Take us to church.
You come to a 10X 360 to learn to make something happen. I guarantee you 3 to 5 things that you take from that 10X 360, if you're committed to making it happen, not hoping it's going to happen. So I'm a big stickler on people using words that don't drive results. So thinking about something, wanting something, there's an old saying, there's the way you want it to be, there's the way it could be, there's the way you might think it should be, there's the way that others might think it could be, but at the end of the day, it is the way it is. And the person that chooses what is the person taking the action. So
That's
I
right,
guarantee you,
Matt.
Matt, I can't wait to see
my
it.
results.
Let's go, Matt.
Oh my goodness.
Jared, we love you, brother.
Natalie. Love you guys.
All right, let's bring Russ on.
What's up, Bradlin?
How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
You messed my name up, and I messed your name up.
I called you Rush.
It's okay.
I just called you Bradlin. I was trying to Brandon and Natalie.
I like that.
My niece used to call me Uncle Rust, so I've been called worse. You ironically enough, you answered my question a few questions ago. But if you have anything else, I was going to say I hear you talk a lot about making my job is to make my team's job easy. And I was going to ask for specific examples, and you gave one in onboarding a new person. So I don't know if you have any other examples of that.
Well, I mean, Grant talks a lot about this as well. Like, one of the reasons Grant does promotions is so he has a reason for a sales team to get on the phone and talk to a client versus them just sitting there trying to find a client. So in our case, we try to make people's success easy by investing in technology to streamline their workflow, try to make people's success easy by look at Russ, you of anybody, because you've been in this community for a long time. We're doing shows. You're on our Wednesday shows. We're doing the Tuesday night show that we're doing right now. Natalie and I flew in from doing meetings all last week in Miami. We've got 4 days of events that we're speaking at here. Why are we doing all this? We're doing it because we want to demonstrate to our team member and lead from the front, our team members, and lead from the front and teach these concepts ourselves so that it takes the burden off the team members from being able to do everything that we know how to do. So by bringing people together and addressing 100 business owners at a time, we're actually making our team members work easier, because now they can go execute on the things that we talked about in a group setting versus trying to initiate the conversation. So when we're sitting here thinking about how do we create value for our team members, how do we create synergy, how do we create efficiency, when we're investing in the business to make their daily routines easier, things like investing in Cardone U. Like if you present that wrong to your team, then they think you're asking them to do something, if it's a new initiative, that's uncomfortable. But we know that if we get our team to train and they train together and they perfect their training, their confidence goes up. When their confidence goes up, their success goes up. When their success goes up, their value to the organization goes up. When their value to the organization goes up, the organization compensates them more for the contribution to the organization. And it becomes an easier way for them to make more money, so they don't have to stress at home or think that they need to leave. So making other people's success doesn't mean making everyone happy in the moment. It doesn't mean letting people do what they think they need to do or want to do. It's getting people to do things that will allow them to succeed in life. And the more they do, the more success they have, the higher their confidence as a human being goes up, and the better quality of life they have for themselves and the people around them. So we take making other people's success and making by leading them to make it easier for them to succeed. We take that so responsibly that we are traveling the world, pounding us into the sand every single day, just like we have with you. I mean, you and I have had some very direct conversations because I know you want to succeed. I know you're frustrated. I know you keep showing up. I know you keep trying. But when I have a friend banging their head against the wall over and over and over, it's my job to go and say, hey, dude, let me show you a different way to do this. And you grasp that, right? You go out and grab it. So my job is to make your life, Russ, easier so you can succeed personally, professionally, and financially by investing in you and teaching you the things I've spent 25 years screwing up so you don't have to. That's an example of making other people's success easy.
And one of the leadership philosophies on that I think takes somebody who's really self-aware is, did I let them know what success looked like? And again, that sounds really straightforward, but if in their role, they don't have a clear picture of what they're being measured on, there's no way that you can really come down on that person for not reading your mind of what success looked like. And anytime I, not too long ago, let go of a team member who was great in a different role and just wasn't great in another role. And at first I beat myself up. The first role of a leader is to say, what could I do different? And I recognize that the metrics and the incentives were never quite right. But then you have to look at, but was there common sense, or was there other things that just were not fulfilled that should have been fulfilled, that they should have known, and it shouldn't have taken it. It's that fine line, right? But if you haven't taken a stab at the metrics, if you don't have a clear understanding of their incentive plan, it's going to be so difficult for you to say to somebody with confidence, I made your success easy by telling you what success looked like in this position.
I love this next level. Went to the 360, completed my first year at 400 grand, trending at 1.2, because you know what? Next level's following the rule of three. This is exactly what we teach. Revenue per employee, following the rule of three. Dude, next level, dude.
He's on every one of my lives.
There you go. So look, when you're committed to the outcome and you trust the process, and you now all you need to do is model, mimic, and master what we've already proven works. And when you do that, so next level, you end the year at $1.2 million. I'm going to interview on my podcast, and we're going to walk through exactly how you did it, because sequencing your success is how you get big and how you learn to make a lot of money. You don't do it by guessing. You don't do it by hoping, Matt. You do it by doing, and doing it the right way, which is. We already
forgave Matt.
I know. I'm going to pick on Matt. When Matt gets here, I'm going to pick on Matt for using the word hope.
Okay. That's
fine. I know Matt is okay with that.
Yeah, he is. Matt didn't pay $40,000.
Nobody pays the amount of money. Let me just tell you guys how much we take the responsibility of your investment. None of you paid for you to show up here and for us to all tell you everything's great. It's going to be easy. Look, building something big is hard. And when you take that first big step to invest $40,000, but we have people that came to our last event and invested $500,000.
Yeah, that's right.
And when someone wants it bad enough and they know the opportunity is big enough, they're not going to be afraid of. Grant always says, you don't have a 40,000 or $500,000 or $1 million problem. You got a 10 million or $100 million problem. Right. And if you're thinking small, you're always going to get small results. All right. Who's in the top left corner there? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, I'm fairly new here. Very nice meeting you, Brendan.
Welcome. You are welcome. Everybody give her some 10X love in the chat.
10X love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I run a small CPA firm, and I have a slightly different problem. I hired a very good employee, and it's just so awesome that my clients want her too. So that's the problem I'm kind of facing.
So let me repeat that back to you. You hired somebody that's a really good employee. You introduced them to your client. Now your client wants to hire them.
Yeah, I think my client was telling me, hey, she's super smart. She's awesome. Can I meet her? Because our firm is all virtual. And we each serve, like I give her a book of clients. I'm a CPA firm. So first and foremost, this is a process issue. Going forward, you need to have a handbook that all your employees sign that has a non-solicitation of current clients. Any client that you introduce them to, they're your business's client. And then you need when you engage your clients, you need to insert in your client contracts that the employees that you bring into the equation that they're working with or your contractors belong to you, and that they have a non-solicitation of those employees. You need to be clear with people that when you're spending money as an entrepreneur and you're building a business and you're creating a resource for people and you're out trying to find talent and bring talent in to help them, that talent isn't available for them to hire around you, nor are the clients that you've spent your career building relationships with for hire from your employees. So the deal is they both need to understand, sign, and agree to the fact, independent of each other, of course, that anything you do relative to your business, that's the value you're creating in the business. And you should put a clause in your contract with your clients that say, if any client hires any one of your employees within 12 months of that employee leaving your business, they need to write you a check for $10,000, because that's what it would cost them to find good talent if they went to a third party. And, you could promote it. You could promote it. Hey, look, if I have anybody that you love, I have a placement fee. It's $10,000. And then they're like, oh, that's great. They sign it. And then they're every time they're thinking about stealing someone, they're like, I got to pay 10,000, or I can pay you and you'll manage them for me. So non-disclosure, non-solicitation, non-disparagement, and in states where you're doing contract work and they're your clients, specifically non-competes, but you need to talk to your lawyers in your states.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I would just go to my client and say, if you hire my one employee that I put on your business that's helping you, and you hire them away, then you're undermining my business, and that will not be conducive for having a working relationship. So it isn't fair to the business owner. Now, I have people that are coming to me from my past company that wanted to go to work for me. And if they weren't in one of my other business units and they were in the one I sold, I tell them I can't hire you for 2 years, because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go and steal my employees back. And now if they leave, I have people here right now, Cardone Ventures left my former company, went somewhere else for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. And then I hired them, but I'm not going to go into my old company and grab people out. So I think you just need to make that clear with your team.
Got it. So I think I have that agreement with my employee. I don't think my employee is going to do that. But what if my employee leaves and then my client leaves like a few months later? I wouldn't even know. Look,
you got to move to the client you got. Stuff is going to happen in business, and you have so much attention. So attack speed is acknowledging, accepting something, take action. The third A is take action, or I'm sorry, the 4 A's. I teach this in my leadership program. First, acknowledge you got an issue. Second, just accept it. No energy into beating it up. Third, act towards what you want. Go get more clients and more employees. Make sure you put your process in place. And then 4, as you start gaining momentum, you attack it.
Got it. Awesome. Great.
Yeah, good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. All right. Who's
next
here?
Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, thanks for calling on me. I'm a huge fan of Natalie's. Did you want to do one more question before you closed it out?
Oh, is that Josh? Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's just your brother. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I can't see you on here, but yeah. So let's do. I can't tell. There's two.
That's okay. I got you. Hey, Chris, I'm gonna unmute you, and you can ask a question to Brandon. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Brandon. Just so you know, since doing the 10x 360, we actually increased our revenue from our highest month ever, over 50%. We went from doing 100K to over 150K. And it's completely changed how I think about my business as the business owner. So it's been
that is so awesome. And what period of time? When did you go through the 360?
I think it was in October. And I went from working in my practice to on my practice, and working on from mastering things to helping others master things that I have mastered in the practice.
And here you are, and you're already got a 50% month over month, huh?
Yep.
Good for you, dude.
So,
just keep it going. This game is a game of momentum. Technical, taking the right technical steps and then creating momentum.
So thank you for that. And my question has been the interviewing process, doing that second interview, the kind of working interview. I'm thinking maybe we haven't been giving enough of the first candidates an opportunity to do that. And typically, do you guys bring in multiple people to do that second interview too? And how long should they be in there doing stuff? I mean, how much is too much for them to be in there doing?
Ask that question again.
When you're doing that second interview where you're testing their actual skills in the position.
Yeah, no, just a quick test. I mean, you can't put them to work for an hour. I would maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just say, hey, I want to do a technical aspect of this, 5 or 10 minutes. So let's say you're a dentist and they're a hygienist, right? So you just walk back into the hygiene area and you're like, hey, walk me through just ask like questions like, how do you operate that? Show me how you do this. Show me how you would clean that. If this happened, how would you address that? And have them explain it to you. And you're like, okay, they know what they're talking about. If it's a graphic designer and you're like, hey, here's what software to use and how do you do it? And you pop it up and you're like, great, design me something in 5 minutes that with these 5 elements, and sit there and see how they're moving the mouse around or how they're clicking on things or how they're it's like, oh, you're a social media expert. Great. Here's my phone. Let's do a quick post here. I'm going to shoot a little post. You show me how you would, edit it, post it, put the words to it, whatever you got to do. But you just ask them to do it. And you put them in a spot where and if they're like, oh, you want me to do that now? Like, then all of a sudden, like if I was hiring a finance person, I'd throw a P&L over to them and say, hey, pretend I'm a client and you're looking at my P&L, walk me through this. And if they're like, well, and I'd say, well, let's say I wanted to reduce my cost. What 3 things in the P&L could I impact the fastest to reduce my cost structure in my organization? And then they'd be like, oh, like there's certain things like marketing expense, variable expense for like meals and entertainment. You could there's a certain thing, if you've gone through enough P&Ls, you kind of know what you can impact. And if they're like, oh, I don't know, and I'm overwhelmed, and they're applying for a job to help our clients with their financials, I wouldn't hire them. So I would just test them spontaneously on something for 3 to 5 minutes and see how they react under that pressure and how they compose themselves and how they answer. And if they did a great job, then that's the indicator they can handle a little bit of stress.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Great seeing you, buddy. Josh, Thanks. Is there anybody else that you want me to talk to?
No, I mean, I know we're at time and I know you got something else to do. So do you want to close us out with any closing thoughts or?
Awesome. Well, listen, everybody, thank you for joining us for another 10X Owners Live on this beautiful Tuesday night in Scottsdale, Arizona. I hope to see some of you at our next 10X 360 event this weekend or our People's Essentials this weekend. Why don't we pop that People Essentials? If you're challenged in any way with people, or if you're doing 400,000 or 500,000 in revenue and you want to know how to build your business to $1.5 million in the next 12 months, come to the People Essentials. This is where you learn how to find, attract, align, develop, and retain remarkable people. And that's what business is about. That's the secret in business. So welcome everybody for another show of the 10X Owners Live. We appreciate all of you. And I'm signing off. Josh, I'll turn it over to you. The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.